I'll just give you a bit of background as to who I am. I'm a chartered accountant of 40 odd years. I spent the first 20 odd years in general practice. Then I came out into industry and decided that I looked at various industry sectors of pension funding. It was in battery storage, all sorts of different disciplines. But right in the middle of all of that, I became a co-founder of a vertical farm, which actually worked out as the largest vertical farm in Europe back in 2018. And ever since then, I've always been looking for alternative ways of using the technology, whether it be in food or whatever. We originally started out by looking at the food sector again, but it was becoming very, very difficult to actually make money in the food sector. There was a huge amount of investment that was made between 2023 and 2025 in vertical farming. Something just below 2 billion was being invested. A lot of that was in the technology side of things originally, and then latterly it's been very much in the AI side of all the data that can be generated from a vertical farm. On the robotics side, trying to automate the process, reduce labor costs, and also in the actual technology itself. So we started to look at alternatives and what other accelerated markets there were that we could use the technology, but not in food. And the one area that was very much key that we identified was the cosmeceutical side of things, and in particular this related to skincare products because of the incidence of and certainly the growth in anti-aging products, obviously collagen type products as well. All of these had previously been provided by either animals, marine or synthetically produced goods. So we looked at this area and thought, yes, this is very attractive to us. We can use what we know, what we've done in this particular area. But what we were finding is that originally we started to look at actually creating a skincare brand, and we would then take that to the market and advertise ourselves as a particular brand. But the cost of actually doing that was going to be prohibitive. So it was very much that the old thinking back to the 1800s of the gold rush, when people were saying that the people who made money in the gold rush were those people that actually sold the shovels and the supplies to the people that were chasing the concept. So why are we chasing the concept? So let's pull ourselves back from that. And what we then thought, well, actually, we should become the shovel provider. So we've concentrated on the active ingredients that goes into the skincare products that people actually want. So effectively, Vita HydroKultur was formed on the back of all of that thinking, and we are now a provider of total controlled environmental horticulture. And we concentrate and specialize in the cultivation of high value active ingredients and obviously being able to do that at scale. So all of our business plans were produced on that basis. We created the financial models for all of that. We've eventually got SEIS and EIS approval from the HMRC in the UK, and we're now at that stage where we need to take it on to raising our funding. We're looking for £8 million. It's still an industry that requires a lot of capital up front. The capex is still very high. So to actually get into that, we've got to raise that funds quite quickly now. And the way that we're approaching it is having two, because we've got the SCIS and EIS back in the UK, we need to have a presence there. So our R&D facility will be based in the Norwich Research Park, and our actual commercial operations will be based in Sweden. And the reason for Sweden is very much electricity costs. We're very much heavily dependent on electricity. Whilst going through the thought processes, obviously as an accountant, I'm always looking at where we're going to make money and do we make money. And obviously the numbers you can see here are quite attractive. These, the £9 and the £244, relate to the metre square per month, either the cost of £9 or the income of 244. Now, of that cost of the £9, that would cover your cost of seeds or nutrients, but the biggest cost, about 50%, is electricity. So everything is around where you can source cheap and reliable and 100% renewable electricity. The 244 is very much generated from existing market rates. To give you an idea, that some of the proteins that we're able to produce are actually on the market at the moment in excess of £1,000 per milligram. It's quite staggering. Now, we've actually discounted that in our financial models right back because we know over the coming years there will be more supply of these goods and the price will come down. But from a financial model point of view, it works. In order to achieve our business plan, obviously we need to have the right team as well. And we've taken a while to actually pull all the right people together. The person on the far left-hand side who's blanked out, that is for a reason. We're unable to actually name that person at this stage. But that person is by qualification is a PhD bioscientist. And has got 15 plus years in the actual production of transient expression of plant material. So very, very relevant to the three sectors that I'll come on to. He will actually be involved with the biotech side of our business. Chris Hill is ex London stock market and in the city. He has a lot of contacts in all sorts of different sectors. He was actually involved with the battery storage facility that I was involved with as well. And he can open up a lot of doors for us going forward. And in particularly when we want to come to an exit route, he has the contacts in the city as well. Andy Allen is a co-founder of a company called Oasthouse Ventures. Oasthouse Ventures actually produce very large energy stroke agricultural type developments. They've created and have produced 22 of these developments so far. His last one was in the States and that was 160 million investment. So effectively, it's actually creating the energy source next door to, these are very, very large greenhouse complexes. So Andy will be very much involved with the construction of our commercial facility that we'll be having in Sweden. Dr. Paul Challoner was also my co-founder in my vertical farming activities back in 2018. Unfortunately, he was due to be here today, but unfortunately had a family issue this week that meant he couldn't be here. So I'll be giving his part of the presentation as well. What are the problems we're trying to overcome? Well, the unreliable supply is very much because the current supply is from animals and marine and synthetics. And the fact that trying to get the proper yields from all of these and the actual quality is very, very difficult, even if you can do it. The regulatory pressures are quite staggering as well, because you need to have traceability, transparency, and obviously anything free from cruelty-free aspects as well are all coming to the fore and very much being visual to members of the obviously of society. And the ethical standards as well. The consumer is very aware of these ethical considerations now, and actually want to see that the products that they're putting on their faces or whatever are actually being produced on an ethical basis. So the solution that we're looking at is effectively in three parts. The first part is the bioactive proteins, and this is the CSO that I mentioned earlier on, the unnamed person. This is his domain, and this is effectively where those proteins are actually created within the plant. It's effectively agrobacterium is mixed with a certain DNA of the proteins that you need. That is then, through transient expression, is actually introduced into the plant. And for a very, very short period, between 5 and 7 days, the plant produces that protein in a very heavy weighted way. And obviously, we control that process. The main thing to note there is that we're not changing the construct of the plant. So it's not genetically modified in any way. It's for a short period and that's it. Then it stops. The controlled cultivation is obviously relating to the vertical farm side of things, where we have total control over the lighting, the heating, the humidity, everything involved with the actual growing of that plant we can control, even down to the coloured lights that you use. Whatever that is needed, we can do that. And regulatory ready as well. Everything that we do is compliant. Our facility, our commercial facility, will be constructed under something called GMP standards. It's good manufacturing practice, which can be audited for compliance purposes. So we know that if anybody asks any questions, we've got all the paperwork, everything is there ready to go. And from an environmental impact point of view, with the vertical farm side of things, it's still the case that it uses 95% less water than traditional farming, 0 pesticides, 50% less fertilizer, and it's 100% renewable energy. That goes across most vertical farming techniques anyway, but it will be relevant to us as well. The defensibility side of things and our moat, this is a little bit more difficult only from the point of view that the proprietary integration side of things, the way that we're doing that is that we bring together the 3 core elements of the biotech, plant biotech side of things with the vertical farming. And also the third element is extraction and purification at the end. And it's really finding, and we have got, the best in class of all of these areas. So we bring all of that together, and it's the fact that we're bringing it all together and we have the expertise to bring all of that together as well and operate it, that obviously sets us apart from any competition. The technical complexity side of things is obviously down to the fact that without the right people behind actually running this, again, it would just be too difficult for people to replicate. I'm sure you could go out and buy people, but you've got to have the understanding of how everything fits together through these people, how it fits together from that biotech side to the vertical farm to the end result through the extraction and the purification. And it's that whole idea that we produce from seed right the way through to the end product in one building. It doesn't leave anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere else for any other testing or anything. Everything happens within the one building. And validated at commercial scale, every aspect that we've got within that 3 parts have all been tested. We've tested it, it's all been proven through all of those people that I mentioned beforehand. They've got all the experience of actually having done it as well. So it brings it on to the validation. Then everything has been tested. The protein expression side, we have produced, I think the list was up to about 16 different proteins that we've successfully produced so far. These are growth factors, which some of you may know. So the protein side of things has been done and has been proven. The platform compatibility, obviously, we've done that before. We've already got the vertical farm badge. We've done that. What we've also done is taken the plant that we're anticipating initially. There's one particular plant, it's called N-benth, Nicotiana plant, that tends to be used for this transient expression piece of work. That has been grown with our technology partner, our preferred technology partner. They've grown that plant to a very high standard, very good yields. So we know that the plant works within that vertical farming technology. And the extraction process, these are established practices, supercritical CO2 extraction, very pure end result that we can obtain. So the traction that we've had so far, how far have we got? The facilities locked in is quite an important element. That our R&D facility that we're planning in Norwich, we have all of the draft lease agreements in place. We've got a laboratory all ready to be kitted out. We've got all of the actual test beds that we'll be using. They're all ready to be supplied by our preferred technology provider. In Sweden, we've gone quite a long way down the line of Sweden. And as I mentioned, the reason for Sweden is very much the cost of electricity. To give you an idea, I can buy electricity at 4.7 pence per kilowatt hour in Sweden, where it was costing 10 times as much in the UK. So it was a no-brainer from that point of view, and it makes a big difference to your financial model. We got involved with Sweden. We were introduced to Business Sweden, who are attached to the Swedish Embassy in London. We have got a very good relationship with them. They actually went out to all the regions in Sweden to explain our concept, what we're planning to do. And one region came back, were very interested. It's a place called Ånge in the north of Sweden. And we've visited there. They've shown us the site. They've actually zoned off a section of the site for us because we can be very modular with the way that we can build our business. We've got a small section to start with, but a huge piece of land available to us to expand in the future. The site concerned has got a 500 megawatt hydroelectric power plant being built there, which will be available in the next couple of years. So we know that electricity is not going to be an issue to us. The lady that actually run our project for Business Sweden, she actually left at the end of last year, and she made contact with us, and she's very keen to join us going forward, which would be fantastic, the fact that she's got the links to Sweden as well. So she'll be coming on board as a non-exec at some stage. Customers already engaged. Yes, we have been in contact with potential customers. It's always very difficult in this scenario though, because the first thing they say is, show us your product, show us how your facilities, show us how clean it can be, and the fact that you can actually deliver this on a day in, day out basis. So whilst we've made the contact with the customers and there is a lot of interest, obviously we haven't as yet been able to actually deliver any offtake agreements, as it were, or future orders, because they want to see when they can actually start to incorporate that within their products themselves. Strategic partners. This is where it's quite interesting. In the R&D facility back in the UK, on the Norwich Research Park, there's 30 plus companies all involved with plant biotechnology. And what we are finding with our conversations there is that a majority of these companies are fantastic scientists, fantastic products, but they don't know how to commercialize them. And that's where we can obviously assist them, because we have that expertise to do so. And we've already signed 4 NDAs to actually take these products on a commercial basis as and when we're able to do so. In addition, they have a number of research establishments at the site as well. One is John Innes Centre, and we've got very good relationships with the top senior executives of that research establishment. Looking at the market size, we saw earlier on that the actual size of the cosmetics industry is over 150 billion and growing and growing and growing. When you break that down into the actual ingredient side of things, we're looking at the moment at, by 2034, a size of about 45 billion. So it's a huge, huge market to pitch at. And if you then look at the serviceable market itself, which we're considering is just Europe, you're looking at a figure of about 9 billion by 2034. So there's plenty of business to be aiming for, particularly when you actually see our turnover figure for when we get to 40 towers, and we're going to start off with 4 growing towers, is 25 million. So our percentage is very, very small, and I'll come on because I can see some of your faces thinking, well, that's not very big, but I'll come back to that later on. So our business model splits nicely into 2 elements. The R&D side of things, we'll be looking at covering our operating costs by working with these third-party companies on the site, where we can actually help them develop their business. So as long as that's covering its costs in the UK, then that's great. Our main income driver will be in Sweden, where we will be obviously producing the active ingredients and then selling that to the manufacturers and the formulators of the end result. And I mentioned earlier on about the £1,000 plus per milligram. We have a figure of £150 in our figures. So you can see we've discounted it right back to actually make sure that we're not over egging the pudding, as it were. We have a clear path. Now, ideally, we'd like to bring this back by as many years as we possibly can. Obviously, we're at this first stage, the actual setup and the Swedish site stage at the moment. And as I mentioned, we're looking at 4 towers. It takes about 12 to 18 months to build the towers out. That's why you've got the commercial production. It sounds a long way off in year 3, but it's within sort of 18 months that we're looking at. We'd then scale to 20 towers. And the beauty of this is that we can keep adding 4 towers at a time. So we start with 4, we add 4, and whilst we're operating the 8, we're then building another 4, and you just keep replicating that. We've got the land available, everything is set up to be able to do that. It's the capital that you need to actually action that particular point. And at the moment, we're showing that by year 7, we'll be going from 4 towers to 40 towers. But as I say, we would prefer to obviously bring that back as much as we possibly can. From a go-to-market point of view, obviously we are a B2B. We're not anticipating having hundreds of thousands of customers. We're looking for key buyers of our products, some of the big Obviously, cosmetic companies will be ideal. So we'll be looking at going to obviously events, the actual industry events, and showing what we can do. LinkedIn is always a good outlet for obviously contacting the senior buyers for manufacturing or the cosmetic companies. Scientific validation. This is where, from the work that we'll be doing in the R&D facility, we would be working on our own scientific papers and obviously getting those published as well. And then the co-development, obviously in the ideal world, we'll be looking at linking up directly with the large cosmeceutical companies to push our name forward as well. And market positioning, what we do find is that there's some excellent companies in vertical farming. There's some excellent companies down here in the biotech field and sustainability, but none of them actually bring all of this together. And that's our USP, is we're bringing all of those elements together to actually make the whole. Now the projections, I mentioned to you earlier on that, so I could see the faces when I showed 25 million people were so. I'm very much of the old school. I've been around a long time. I always work on the basis that turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. And when you look at the figures for the revenue, obviously we want to try and push that as much as we possibly can. That 8.58 million at the end there isn't up to the 20 towers in full growth. When we get to 40, you're looking at 25, 26 million. But the interesting bit and the more exciting bit is that the gross profit is in excess of 88%. And our EBITDA figure is in excess of 55%. Now it starts to get more interesting, particularly when we know in the industry that we're looking at a multiple of about 20 times EBITDA on valuations. So all of a sudden, when you get to year 7 with 40 towers and you've got a turnover of 25 million, a 55% EBITDA figure multiplied by 20, you're getting a very large number. So we're looking at raising 8 million, and as I mentioned right at the beginning, CapEx is one of the big areas, hence the reason why we need to do that now, because we need to get everything structured as quickly as possible. We had all of our business plan financial models taken apart by an independent third party, put back together again, and they came up with a pre-money valuation of 14.8. So that's not us just wishful thinking, that was totally independent of anything we've done. So in summary, we've got a huge marketplace growing rapidly. We've got high value items that we're selling with potentially high gross profit and high EBITDA, and we've got a market to go for. That's everything I have to say.